Hello, everyone. My name is Dan Pa. I'm originally from the island of Oahu. I am a fourth generation Korean, fifth generation Japanese and Okinawan on the island. And so my great grandparents arrived in 1899. And so for those first 18 years of my life before I came to Seattle, island culture, Hawaii culture, aloha culture was everything that the universe passed through me. And so I brought that to Seattle. And in Seattle, went to University of Washington. I studied engineering, but ultimately, when it came to decide what to do with my life, I went back to the one thing that I had that I realized that I had running through my veins since the day I was born, and that was music. And I've been a singer, a songwriter, a producer, a collaborator for over 20 years, and I've had some incredible experiences. I don't say this anyway to share a resume, but it's like as a simple island boy, as I see myself, just going to the beach, hanging with friends, cutting kapila with ukuleles to the pale moonlight. I never really imagined that I would share stages with members of Bob Marley's band, for example. And the thing is like when you get to spend time with people, they're just people. They're just people that have a mission, that have a deep passion for what they do. And the fact that we're all here today and we all showed up in this room together and we're sharing this space means that we also have a deep passion for our community and the work that we do within it. As an artist, I think about, in fact, when I walked in the room, I was talking to Cassie and Randy about paths, being on the path. And I think that the work that we accomplish should only happen when you commit to the path and you embrace the path. And amidst the chaos of the path, you find joy in the path. And I think that's what led Total Star to build a brand new recording studio with the help and the advocacy of the Cultural Space Agency and the other great partners like the Rhapsody Project that you just saw here, Ready to Soaring, Jazz and Street Music Program, which Smart, and of course the city of Seattle, which through the advocacy of the Cultural Space Agency granted all of our partners a 60-year lease in a building, King Street Station, that was built in 1906. And also that building represents something even deeper, because if you think about the path of that building, walking through the hallways that we walk through the front door of King Street Station, and we have to remember that from 1906 to the 1950s, before SeaTac Airport was built, King Street Station was a deep portal to Seattle from outside of the area. So for example, all the jazz musicians that performed in the mecca of the jazz scene, which is south of Jackson, right? We can go into that later, that's another side conversation. But the fact that they all get south of Jackson Street, and we're talking about the jazz greats here, and I'm trying to work with Walleye to uncover some pictures. I want to find a picture of Duke Ellington standing in front of King Street Station. I want to find that. But the fact that they passed through those hallways, that was their path. What path did they take? What path came before them? What was the path of the indigenous people here? I mean, whenever Total Star artists come to the studio to make music and receive mentorship, we remind them where we're standing. And when we're standing on the ground of King Street Station, it was actually not ground, it was actually a marsh. It was a marsh that was filled with flounder. And that flounder was a major food source for the Duwamish. In fact, their longhouse village was right there at the bottom of that hill that slopes down, for lack of better words, Yesler and Jackson, from Lake Washington to the Salish Sea, which are, the Duwamish refer to as the Lodge, the little crossover place. It was a sacred space because anytime you find water, you find life and you find potential. And so, we need our young people to realize the history, the path that it took for all of us as humans to get to this point where we get to be in a studio and make music and build community, which is so important. We also have to remember the path of our ancestors that brought us here. And I think that's a big piece of why we make space. I think, and before I pass it over, I was at the Andre 3000 concert at the Paramount last week. And I had to prepare for a keynote speech for another gala, ACRS gala that I was a speaker at. And I knew I had to review my notes. And as I walked to the very top of the panel, there's like those little beautiful little two-person notes that overlook, that on the mezzanine that overlook they're all like inlaid in gold and they're just beautiful, right? It's a beautiful space. And I had to sit by myself and say, should I sit there and review my notes right there? I had to ask myself if I had the permission to sit there. Because as a child, I know that if we were kids, we were running around that top mezzanine and my grandma was there, and we thought, oh, we're just gonna go sit in those chairs and hang out. My grandma would be the first thing, no, kill it, get it. And I wonder, where does that come from? Where does that initial reaction not to sit in chairs that you may have, that you should have permission to sit in? Where did my grandma pick that up from? So let's think about that.
Sure.
Hello. Good morning. I'm grateful to be here and grateful to share with you all. My name is Crystal Brown, and I work with Cultivate South Park. We're a pretty new organization, but it was organically grown by neighbors and business partners in South Park. I will admit, before I lived there, I'm a Pacific Northwest kid my whole life. South Park was always kind of a drive-through neighborhood for me, never a destination. And so I feel like it's like a dessert now. It's like I've had my meal, and now South Park is so amazing. It's full of incredible people and businesses and history. We're on the Duwamish River, and from other community groups in South Park, we've learned so much about the history of the Duwamish, the straightening of the Duwamish, which is why we had so much flooding in our neighborhood and Georgetown last year. And we just feel really honored to be able to, as we call ourselves, the doulas of the building called Aquarium, which is in South Park. It houses a lot of small businesses, and it also houses a 1926 ballroom called the South Park Hall. It's a 4,000 square foot space. That's the space that we have really activated for the last few years in community. We have Aztec dancers coming in every Sunday. We have a folklore group. And a beautiful story about that is Senator Royal actually invited the folklore group to come perform. And it was, if you check out our Instagram page at Cultivate South Park, you'll see that video. But that was probably the peak moment for me, for my role. I've always been a people pleaser and a supporter, and I've tried everything. I love everything, Lego, airplanes, baseball, ballet, everything. So it's a great position for me to be in, to be able to support. And then there's also the challenging side. It's great to always be optimistic and happy, as I usually am. And then you have to look at bills and taxes and try to wake up in the morning and do it all over again. So I really appreciate the support. Lisa and Matthew are really who I started with Cultural Space Agency, and I really give them the credit. Matthew was there from day one, and it was an instant connection. He was in South Park, in the neighborhood, looking around the building, setting up things for us for funding. And my whole life, I've always been a big dreamer. I wanted to do things like this and support people. And so it was amazing to have that support from Cultural Space Agency, to have this building and get that opportunity. I think that's the big thing. I appreciate what's been shared so far, because all I hear is capable people, very capable people who have beautiful gifts and beautiful things to offer the world. But sometimes those opportunities are limited for reasons outside of our control. And this feels like the work of so many people that came before me that has put us in this position. And I think whatever I've gone through in my 40 years, that I'm now in the space to be able to honor that. And work really hard, do my best to keep it going and stay positive. So I appreciate the humans in this space, Cultural Space Agency, and everyone up here who's sharing and working just as hard to create those dreams our ancestors envisioned.
Gonna give everybody a minute to let that on my hands, come back to yourself, come back to your heart, vision, come back to the heart. I also forgot my So Randy, would you mind letting me know when we're around 10:40-ish? Thank you. If we have time, we have 10:30.
10:10.
Okay, yeah, so there was time for you all to ask questions, and so, I've got just one more question for you along the way, we can get to a little bit of parent discussion for those of you, for everybody here, and then some question time, so start into what's good for you, what are questions you want to ask. So, the next question for you all. I love bringing in the spirit of the land and how you put in your shares, and something I really love since is the spirit of the Hodge. And this is not, and I hope that folks who are more closely connected with Coast Salish culture and how to my understanding of it, but my understanding of the spirit of the Hodge coming from the natural elements and generosity of this land is that it was an expression of culture that expresses wealth through how much flows through and how much we share with others, how what is healing. And so, really wanting to honor the wisdom of the land that flows into culture really has been through a lot of indigenous teachers and festivals. Wants to see that wealth, that people resources come out and wants to be good. Wants to be so from that longing to flow, actually pause to see if anybody wants to add to any misunderstandings that are currently. Yeah, so just from that place, my question is, we just did a lot of learning of those of you who are curious, what changes now that you're rooted in place? What is different about
So basically the question is, once we have built space, what changes in the future? We're kind of talking about that last night. So, I think speaking from the lens of folks are, it's more staff, the artists that come to the studio every day. I say the biggest thing that changed, to go back to that whole permission piece, is I feel like young people are beginning to understand that they don't have to ask for permission continually to show up in space, do something beautiful, something that they find so much joy in. I'll share two incredible stories that have happened since we moved to our space at the beginning of the year. For all of you that know Bumbershoot Music Festival, their new executive director, Camille, has been to space, and she brought a family member, Dylan, who's 17 years old, who lives in Mexico for most of the year, school in Mexico, but he's always spent his summers in Seattle. He spent like around the summers that have been down there. So he came up and maybe I think looking at me before his trip up, he started sharing us about he found out about the jam, which is every first Thursday. Folks are hosting jam sessions open to any young person or teachers going back on the jam, just like do a community, work at their shops, meet new potential collaborators. It's just a beautiful, burst of energy in this space that we're building. And so Dylan has been emailing us and saying, everybody talk, I'm really nervous, I don't expect, I was like, Dylan, you not expect anything, just come by showing up, you already reached your goal, right? So he came, he plugged in, and he played for the whole 2 hours. And when he left, he told us that that was the best moment of his whole life. He felt loved. We actually, because he said, after saying, am I the only new person here? And I said, yeah, but now that you've been here for 2 months, you're not new anymore. So we made a little circle, we had a proper introduction to the rest of the arts, and he just been jabbing it. It was beautiful, like, welcome to the family moment. And I'm sure people forget that. Told him, anytime you guys see how this is home, this is your studio. So that's the first story about you. It was a beautiful moment. And then the second thing was another participant in the jam. She and this whole group of friends have been catching the ferry over from Bremerton every first Thursday just to get to the jam session. It was crazy. I mean, go out effort just to play music, but they just love it so much. And in August, she had to come for a couple months, so she showed up at the August jam session. And I said, hey, I haven't seen you for a long time. And she said, yeah, it's been a rough 3 months, but it's great now. I said, you mind sharing more? And she said, yeah, sure. She said 3 months ago, she went to the doctor, and the doctor told her that she had terminal illness. We just imagine the impact of that on yourself, on your soul, on your family, your parents, your siblings. 3 months, and she was fine. So for 3 months, we did a theater, we did music for her, and I said, so what else happened? She said, well, the crazy thing is that this morning, I went to the doctor, and it was a 3 month checkup. And I went in, and the doctor basically said, oops, we made a mistake. You're fine, our bad. And she actually kind of chuckled about it, and I could tell there was this really deep, like, who tells you you need to turn on this and you have 3 months to live, and then after 3 months they tell you, oops, my bad, we made a mistake. So I said, but you're here. And she said, of course I am. Because Lone Star is one of the places in the world that I find the most joy. I said, holy shit. She came to our station space block party last month. We played under the stars with the city of Seattle lights as our backdrop. We played right on the KJ Station Plaza. It was beautiful. And it's really because a lot of people in this room, and a lot of people that aren't in this room, came together to do something beautiful because they believe that arts and culture is important, that youth development is important, that youth deserve a place where they don't have to feel like they're not welcome, they don't have to ask permission, this is their home. That's what we're doing. We're doing young people.
So I just want to say really quickly what it is with me. The thing about stewardship in land, this opportunity that we are approaching space is actually helping us to really dig further into how to be a good steward in the website project. One of the things that we wrote into before we were in was that the land in Whitestead in this project is going to be, first of all, we want to figure out how we're going to introduce the wash at the end of the project. It's not our land either. It's not Whitestead's land, it belongs to the original inhabitants of this country. So, everybody, every time that is brought up, people were like, they say you turn it out. Yeah, because it's not your damn land either. And so even getting inside over to the property in Whitestead where the food bank used to be, getting that over to the CDA, it was all about how do we steward it and hold the space for the demolish, so that ultimately they make the decision. And I don't understand why more of us don't do that now. Just best way to honor the benefits, give them And so, our ability to lean into that and to not get freaked out about other people's reaction, and you talk about things outside of the box, you can do it. Because, that is our responsibility as good stewards, is to how we unpack the layers and the years of personalization, the game that we talk about on the planet. So how do we do that in its most simple form that makes sense to even our children? Give back to life. How do we elevate those kinds of conversations in an institutional setting, at a policy level setting? We have the words, we have the knowledge, and we have examples. And so for me, that's really how does this work? How does the work cultural space? How does that continue to help us become better stewards and accountable stewards of the land, of the spaces that we all are part of?
So I guess from my viewpoint, thinking for the future, a lot of it is just feedback from the community, what we see here in the Squamish Valley, in the South Park community. And it's also challenging because I think some of the things we want to implement now, we don't potentially know as long-term impacts. I mentioned the straightening of the Squamish River and the impact that's had in the Squamish Valley. Maybe at the time they thought it was a great thing, and the Duwamish didn't build the wall of Seattle. So I find myself in a more of an observation position, and it's been a real blessing to be able to listen. The groups that we are collaborating with that on paper says we're serving, I find that I learn most from the people in our, like I said, the folklore dancers, and I love your sharing stories of examples. My viewpoint of watching these mothers prepare for this folklore dance to perform at Benner Royal Hall a few months ago. I am not a crier, but I just excused myself and shed a few tears because the teacher of that group came to me and said, these women have, they came here children, they sacrificed all their desires and wants to raise their children. There was never money in the family for them to take folklore and let alone buy the costumes. We purchased the costumes for them. They got to practice twice a week in the South Park Hall. And so I was watching them, they were so nervous. They were the first group there, all the groups that performed, first group there. They were doing each other's hair and makeup. They were so collaborative. There was so much beautiful collaboration. And it was a big deal for them. They were so nervous, and I got to see that. And so it reminds me of my own mom, who I had a wonderful mom, a mama type of mom. And so that's kind of what I take into all my work is I saw what my mom had to go through, all the sacrifices she made for her children. I don't have children by choice because I'm selfish, but I do have a lot of kids and nieces and nephews. And my whole career has been working with children since about the age of 13. I started in daycares, working in daycares. So I take that lesson from moms, not to eliminate anybody else, but I really believe the soul of a mother, what I got to see as my example, is what I want to be able to support for the future. I truly believe moms, like mama moms, who you get annoyed with them, they get on your nerves if you're their child, but at the heart, they want the best for you. They see you from the day you got here until hopefully in their eyes, when they close their eyes, and also take into consideration our kids might be there for a few things that kind of stuff off, but hopefully we can also be there to support them through that.
Right, so take some time here now for the entire room to get a chance to adjust and feel what's alive for all of you here. So we have a chance to come back. conversation. So we invite you to turn to the person next to you, or maybe groups of three, that's simpler. And just chat for about 5 minutes with what's life. Let's hear right now.
There's three of us. Really starting with the intro and like open accountability. How are you? So we do intros first.
Sure.
Writers. Okay. My name is Dr. Tracy Harrell. I'm actually supporting Adapua with the African Cultural Arts Center.
Hi, I'm Papua. I'm with Papua, and next month we're celebrating our 40th anniversary. And to kick that off, we're gonna really dive deeper into the Cultural Arts Center. I don't know if you knew, but we decided to demolish the pre-existing building, and we're building a 4-story, bottom level, the ground level parking. Yeah. 2 artist living workspaces, performing arts center, heal thyself unit, all that. Offices, meeting spaces. Yes. Maximum use of that land. And so now we're approaching permitting.
And so you come down to the sidewalk.
Yeah.